Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Viking Prime. I think it is a bit of a play on words from Marty Sears, who's the constructor of this puzzle. My guess is, when you actually look at the puzzle, it's really referring to Viking Prime. I don't quite get the Viking reference, if I'm honest. Am I just imagining this? Yeah, no. Happy birthday to the brilliant setter and lovely chap, Viking Prime. Right, so that's the reference. Now, when you actually take a look at the puzzle, it isn't at all about Vikings, but, since that birthday message from Marty Sears, may as well celebrate it here with this particular thumbnail where Sleuth is somehow visiting this, Viking, King Viking, and as if, he's like, nobody's ever going to believe this. He's sort of adjusting the camera to make sure that he's got a good shot of him and the Viking King together. Anyway, let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule sets. I'm actually quite excited about it today. Couple of reasons. First one is, it is a little bit unusual. It's sort of Sudoku, not quite. And we are using prime numbers, king constraints, so that's going to be quite interesting. The other thing is, I've learned from yesterday's puzzle, if you haven't seen it, A Mother's Love, link up here, is to make sure that I record in the morning where I'm definitely a bit more awake than I was when I was recording yesterday. Right, rule sets wise, we've got fill in the grid with the digits 1 to 8 so that the digits do not repeat in the row or column. As you can see, there are no 3x3 boxes, or 4x2s, as sometimes is the case when it comes to 8x8 Sudoku puzzles. Here, we only need to place the digits 1 to 8 once each in every row and every column. No boxes, no regions, no chaos construction today. Then we have V cells. So cells separated by a V sum up to 5. So these two cells here must sum up to 5, as are here. No reference from Marty Sears around whether this is got a negative constraint or not. Actually, I think it's impossible. I'll show you. So it's just so I was looking at the rest of the constraints, and I think that might not be possible to actually, it's not necessary to be stated. Anyway, with the V cells, if that was a 2, this would have to be a 3 to make sure they do add up to 5. Now, we also have a king's constraint. So cells separated by a chess king's move may not contain consecutive digits, but could potentially be the same. So I have misread this. So I think this would be actually totally valid. I can have a 3 in here and no V between them, and it doesn't break the king constraint because it's only about consecutive digits. So the only thing that this is saying is that I can't have a 4 in here because that would be consecutive with the 3 in all of the surrounding cells. So that is fascinating. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use this, but we'll give it a good go. It is a 1-star difficulty rated puzzle, so it should be approachable. Last but not least, we've got prime itself. So any 2 adjacent cells along the purple line must sum up to a prime number. So in my example, I think I had a 2 in here and a 3. So the next cell along, whatever it may be, needs to be I'm sorry, I'm rereading the king constraint. So I think I can put a 1 in here. And 1 and 2 will add up to 3, which is a prime number. And therefore, any 2 cells on this purple line are essentially adding up to a prime number. I could add a 4 in here. These 2 cells add up to a 5. And you get the idea is any 2 cells, consecutive cells, on the purple line, adjacent cells, must sum up to a prime number. I'm sorry, I'm just revisiting the king's constraints. Cells separated by a chess king's move may not contain consecutive digits. Yeah, I think I have an idea of what that means, but I'm going to let this one go. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be partially solving the puzzle for you. So, as always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, happy birthday, Viking Prime. Let's get solving. Right. So what I was very hesitant about in the king constraint is it says cells separated by chess king's move may not contain consecutive digits, but could potentially be the same. So I think the challenge that I have is, can I ever have a 2-3 on the V? And I think the answer to that is no, because they're clearly a cell that's separated by chess king's move away, and they are consecutive. So I'm going to say something like all of the V's have to be 1 and 4. I think that is correct. Now, the other thing that I was thinking about in terms of the prime numbers, and we're placing the digits 1 to 8, so the maximum we can have as sums will be 8 and 7. Yeah, presumably 8 and 8, I can maybe do something like that. There's nothing in the rule sets that's preventing it, so you can get it to 16. But I think if I think about the prime numbers between 2 and 16, 2, 3, 5, 7, not 9, 11, 13, and that's it. There's no 15, definitely no 16, and obviously no even numbers other than the 2 at the beginning. Now, I don't think, I was just about to say something silly. I was just about to say, I don't think I can get 2 consecutive. Yeah, so I was going to say, I think that this is a parity puzzle. And I think this is partially correct. Because essentially, aside from the 2, all the other digits that are prime numbers are odds. So in essence, how do I get 2 cells to add up to an odd number? Well, one of them has to be even, one of them has to be odd. I'm just going to pick some random colors, let's say green and yellow. Assume yellow for a second is even. Well, to make sure that these 2 cells add up to an odd number, well, this one has to be an odd now. And then you repeat. So I am going to do a bit of coloring here, where I don't know the parity of what's on the line, but I know that it is definitely alternating, with one, possibly 2 exceptions. The exceptions are actually when we have diagonals, because unusually I can have a double 1, and these 2 cells are adding up to a 2, which is a prime number. So at least on the diagonals, that flipping of polarity doesn't have to occur. So we're going to have to sort of watch out for that for a bit. So we've got one set of parity in here. I think we've got clearly another set of parity in there, because we know that these alternate across the V and they alternate across the line. I'm going to pick different sets of colors. Let's go with purple and orange. That's purple, and then therefore these 2 are orange. So these 2 cells have to be the same. I should have actually left kind of this reference up for a second. So 11, 13, and that's it. So now what I'm looking for is a digit. Yeah, because they're the same digit, it's not actually that helpful. Hang on, I need a digit that is not consecutive with 1 or 4. Not 1 or 4, one of them, I don't know which one it is, that gets me to a prime number. Now this cell is definitely not 1 or 4, it sees both of them in the same row and column. Now, I could do something like 2 with a double 1, because that adds up to 3 and 3 again. No, 2 with a double 1 doesn't work, because they're consecutive. So 2's out. Could 3 work? 3 would have to go with a 4. No, because again, that's consecutive. The 3 doesn't work either. And then 1 and 4 are out. So now we're on to fairly sizable numbers. So 5 with a 4 would get me to 9. That doesn't work. 6 with a 1 does work. That gets me to 7. So 6 is a possibility with a double 1 in here. And these being 4s. Then there's 7 and 8. If it's 7, we'd have to go with the 4s, which adds up to 11. That's actually fine. And then the 8 with the 1 doesn't work. So it actually hasn't helped me determine any digits yet. That is a shame. I was really hoping that we'll get our first digits. That felt really constrained. So And then, of course, because of this double one, it's not as easy to color this line. I am going to give it a go, though. What I can do, actually, is, hang on, because these are 1s and 4s. These are 1s and 4s. So let's see if there is indeed a double 1 in here. That's an orange 1-4. That has to be a purple 1-4. That's an orange 1-4. That has to be a purple 1-4. And now, these are oranges. Whenever there's essentially a 90 degree, we know that we don't have two cells that can be the same. It's only on the diagonal where this is possible. So this would be purple, this is purple. These are certain. As well as this one is purple. And there you go. That's the answer. Clearly, it is a double one. Both of these are going to be orange, because again, on the diagonal, sorry, not on the diagonal, these have to flip. Same in here. So this is a double one, which means that orange is odd. Quite convenient, actually. So that is, hang on, I didn't mean to do that one. And then purple, well, actually, let's just do these first. And then purple is even. Now, this has to be an odd number. This is a 7 to make sure that they add up to odd digits with 11. And let's see if we can actually get the rest of this line now. Fascinating puzzle. Right, so we need 2 digits. I mean, I went through all of this logic earlier. I think this is forced to be a 6, wasn't it, to add up to 7? There must be more than one option, though. Hang on, I made a mistake here. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Thank you. These are double ones. These are ones. These are 4s. That wasn't meant to be a 1. That was a mistake on my part. And this is a 7. Thank you. Right. What else do we know? So I'm thinking that these are 6s and this is a 4. But I want to... Sorry, I want to fix this quickly just for my peace of mind. Now, we said earlier that for the 1-4s, we went through all of the various options. So, for example, this is an even digit. It is 2, 4, 6, or 8. Can't be a 2, it's consecutive. Can't be a 4, it's in here. 8 and 1 add up to 9, so it is a 6. Same logic applies in here. Now, this time round, I know that this is not a 6, because it's in the same row. However, 4 is now back on the table. 2 it isn't because it's consecutive. 8 doesn't because it's not prime. And 6 is not available. So 4 adding up to 5 works. Now we need an odd digit between them that makes sure that the sum of these two numbers is prime. 1 works with 7 and 5. 3 doesn't. That would be 9. 5 doesn't. That would be 9 this way. And then 7, that would be 13 and 11. So, it's not forced. 13 and 11 are both prime numbers, so that actually works. Pardon me, I'm just taking it all in. So, I think the whole consecutive thing around kings now, we need to use it clearly a lot more to be able to think around where the 2s can be, 3s, etc. Because we don't have a lot of digits on the grid right now. It's just 1, 4, 6s, and 7s potentially. But somehow from that, we're meant to be able to work our way outwards to, the consecutive of 1, which would be a 2, consecutive 3s for 4, the 6s as well. So we've got enough information apparently. I'm just trying to figure out if I can actually determine what this is. We've got, so between the digits 1 to 8, we've got 4 evens and 4 odds. Pretty sure that's correct. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, and 8. Yeah. So we've got, now we have 2 of each in here, 2 greens, 2 yellows, and we have 2 blues. So this one here has to be orange. and it's not 1, and it's not 3 because that would be consecutive with 4, but it can be 5 or 7. Now, I think we can still force this somehow. Given we've got essentially evens and odds on here that still need to add up to prime numbers. Specifically, the evens are 2 and 8. The odds include a 3, which actually ironically can be between both the 2 and 8, since 2 and 3 are 5, 3 and 8 is 11. And then one of, and we don't know which one it is, 1, 5, or 7. So if we think about this for a second, the 1, 5, or 7, can they be in the middle next to a 2 or 8? And I think the answer to that is yes. 1 could be next to a 2. 5 could be next to a 2. 5 could be next to an 8. 7 could be, no, 7 doesn't work. 7 is not on this line. Because 7 will either be adjacent to a 2 or an 8. 7 and 2 is 9. 7 and 8 is 15. 7 is off the table. So one of these is a 7 for sure. And therefore we're left with a definite 3 and a 1 of 1 or 5. If there is a 1, we'll have a look at kind of all of these restrictions. That would have to be the 1, which would put it in the middle of the 2 even digits, which I don't think is possible. 1 and 2 works, 1 and 8 doesn't. So I don't think it's 1. I think it is 3 and 5 because of the work we've just done. So that means that's a 7. That is a 1. There is 3 and 5 and 2 and 8 in here. What can be next to the 7? Well, plenty. Plenty. I mean, 2 is fine. 3 is fine, as is 5. Let's actually just think about this for a second. Have I got anything that is... No, I can't see it. What about this side? So we know that this is even, kind of same deduction. We've got 2 odds, 2 more odds, and essentially 2 evens, but only 1 even. This has to be even. And we need something that is not consecutive with 1 or 7. So 2 is off the table, 4 is a possibility, 6 is off the table, and 8 is off the table because of the 7. So that's forced, that's 4. Got the same thing again with 2 and 8, and 3 and 5. Ho, ho, ho. Okay. I'm loving the puzzle. It's different and interesting, and it's forcing me at least, to think in lots of new and different ways. Ones I think we can do something with. Yeah, last one is in here. I don't know if I'm going to keep coloring particularly off the lines, but ones are done. Half tempted to color the grid to see where 2s cannot be based off that. Because, you know, no 2s, no 2s, no 2s in any of these. And it's, you know, it's a substantial amount of the grid. Especially when we know that there is a 2 in here and there is a 2 in there, but I don't know. Can I force this in any shape or form? So 2, 8, 3, and 5. So the one thing we know is that neither of these are 8. Doesn't stop me though, however, from having 8s in here. 3s are not there because that would be consecutive to the 4. So okay, let's go with this. Let's pencil mark 2. Hang on, it's not 3 or 5 because they're consecutive to the 4. It's not 8 because that's consecutive to the 7. That is forced with a 2. And finally, we know that yellow is even, green is orange, and we should be able to go from here. That gives us 8s. The 3 can't be next to the 2, so this has to be the 5. This is the 3, and that's our prime lines done. And now this should get even more interesting for us to try and figure out, using purely the king constraint on consecutive digits, how to solve this. So we have lots of 4s. Can I solve the 4s maybe? So 4s are done here. 4 can't be there because it would be next to the 5. 4 in column 5 has to be here. We need one more 4 in this column, and I think it's forced in here. Yeah, all the other cells can see a 4, so 4s are also done. 1s are done, 4s are done. The other digits that we have plenty of, not really that many. 6s we only got 2, 7s we've only got 2. This cell here is odd, and it is not 1, not 3 next to the 2. 5 works. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't, so 5 is an option, as is 7. Yeah, I am going to do this. It's not my favorite style of doing it, but it allows me to make progress quickly. I'm just going to color on the grid where the 2s are not. And that should hopefully, 2s are not next to 3s either. Right, so where does, here I'll show you, it's easier if I just shade it. Where does 2 go in this column? That's the only place for it. 2, of course, not next to the 3. I kind of forgot about the 3s. That's the other 2 in here. I need 2s in this quadrant, because they're the only ones that see these 2 columns. So given I have 2 2s in here, I think I have no 2s in there. That's a reasonable deduction. It covers the rows and the columns. And I definitely need it in the columns, and therefore I have another 2 in here in some setup, essentially like some sort of X-wing. But there is nothing necessarily that's forcing me to tell me which way it is. Okay. So 1s, 2s, 3s maybe? 3s, given we placed a lot of 2s, that may be helpful. And 4s. Yeah, I think that's correct. So these are not 3s, excuse me. I didn't mean to add the lighter shade. So we need a 3 in this row. That's the only place for it. We need a 3 in this row. This is the only place for it. Need a 3 in that row. That's the only place for it. So we've got 3s covering all of these areas now. We need a 3 in this column. That's the only place for it. And then I've got, again, kind of a 3 X-wing in here. Have my 3s help me with my 2s at all? No. Interesting. Okay. 5s, let's have a look at them next. So not next to the 4s or 6s. Obviously not in the same rows or columns as 5s. I think that's everything. Yeah, I'm so not sure about this. I'm probably missing something, some deduction somewhere that would have helped me move a bit faster. You know, 5s are allowed in here, 5s are allowed in there. 5 in this column is nowhere except here. 5 in this column, well, it's not this row, it's one of these 3 cells. one of these two cells. Plenty of options here, plenty of options there. This is not brilliant. We'll do this all the way up to 8 and then just take stock at that point. 6s, it's not going to be hugely fruitful if I'm honest, because we haven't got that many 5s on the grid. Some, or 7s for that matter. So none of these are 6s. No, this is off because of this 5. So that's a 6. These are now off as well. 5 was never there anyway. Need 1 in this column. We need 1 in this column, more importantly. That's a 6. So that's off as well. In this row, that's the only place for it. That's covered all of this. I think we might be able to get all the 6s then. Need 1 in this row, that's a 6. Need 1 in that row, that's a 6. 6. That's 8 of them, surely. Yep. No. Right. Has that helped me with my 5s? Probably, but I'm just going to keep going with 7s for a moment. Not that that seems helpful, like, at all. Right, so this is 5, 7, or 8 in these 3 cells. 5 is not here, 5 is not there. This is a 5, right? Maybe some of the normal Sudoku constraints. 8s can't be consecutive to the 7, so that's 8, that's 7. Let's think about this column. This is 7 and 8. 7 can't be consecutive to the 8, that's 7, that's 8. These two are 3 and 7. 7 can't be next to the 6s, that's 7. Oh, ho, 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 I've broken it. Dear, oh dear. Which one did I break? I need a 7 and an 8. And the 8 doesn't go here, it's got to be there. 8. 7 has to be up here with a 4. Not a 4, excuse me. A 2. I'm not seeing the restriction on them, so 2, 7. We have 7 and something else, that's the 7. 8. Next to the 7, you know, it's broken. So it's clearly in some of my... So I'm happy with all the deductions I've made around the prime numbers and the evens and odds. I think it's just I've made a mistake placing some of these digits down, which is a real shame. You know, hang on. Yeah, so let's just think, yeah, so up to here, I'm pretty confident with the solve. Before that, I think the 4s, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need more 4s. That is a 4. That is a 4. And I think we've done the 1s. So yeah, we've done the 1s. Where can 3 go? Not here, not there, not there. That's 3. Need 5 and 7 as well. 7 is not here. 7 could be one of 2 cells. 5 is not here, nor next to the 4. 5 is one of 2 cells. So that's the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, and 7. 2, 4, we need 6 and 8. 6 is not to the 7, nor the 5, nor the odd number. That's 6, that's 5, that's 7, that's 8. Right, maybe this is the better way to go around finding things. 3 is not here, not there, not there. This is 3. We need a 6, it's not next to the 5, not next to the 7, that's 6. We need 7 and 8, that's 7, that's 8. Right, columns. We need a 2, it's not next to the 1s. 2 could be any of these. 3, it's not here, not next to the 4s, it's forced, that's 3. 4 is done, 5 is done, 6. I don't see the problem with this cell. Not next to the 5 or the 7, that's forced. This is 2 and not 4. 7. That's the 7, that's the 2. Right, that's looking a little bit easier than the shenanigans I was trying earlier. 2 is not here, nor here. One of 2 cells. 5, not next to the 6, not next to the 4s, that's the only place. 6, not next to the 7s, can only be in here. We need 7, which has to be up there, and that's the 2. Right. 1, 3, and 7, we need a 5, it's not here, it's one of 2 cells. Even digits, we need 2, which is not next to the 3, not in front of the 2, that's a 2, that's a 5, that's an 8. Need a 6 in the row, need a 3 to complete it, need a 3 somewhere in here, not next to the 4, not in front of the 3, that's a 3. I need an 8 and 6, 6 can't be there, that's 6, that's 8, 8. Up here I need an 8 in there somewhere, it's not this cell, it's one of these 2, and I need 3, 5, 3 and 5. 3 is forced, that's 3, that's 8, that's 5. I think we're going to solve this one. 2 can't be next to the 1, that's 2. This is known, this is a 7. I need a 1, can't be next to the, no, I have a 1. I need a 2. It's not next to the 2, could be either of these. 3, 4, I need a 5, not next to the 4, so that's the 5. 7, can't be in front of it, that's 7, that's 2. Right, we should be basically done here. 2, 5, and if I've not made any mistakes, 8 for the finish. What a phenomenal puzzle, Marty Sears. I mean, 2 days in a row where I've broken the puzzle. Not great, but it's such an extraordinary puzzle. I'm really, really happy to have solved it. I'm not sure it is 1 star, though. I think there's a lot of deductions you need to make around the prime lines, the nature of the 1/4s. You get, and then you can sort of make these deductions. I mean, these were all phenomenal logic, but it's not intuitive, and maybe that's the reason I sort of don't necessarily give it a 2 star, is probably just a lot of logic, because I don't necessarily have the patterns that I've developed over, a year of solving a Sudoku every day. Anyway, hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle. I absolutely loved it, as you can see from my reaction. And the video largely there, other than sort of a mess up somewhere, which I'm sure somebody will point out. Only thing left to say is, see you back for the next video. Bye-bye for now.